Let me get to the right screen for. Okay.
Okay.
PowerPoint.
Share.
PowerPoint.
And
PowerPoint.
add to stage, and bam.
Okay, so this game, this is like something I really want the devs to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think there's some important lessons here that they didn't learn in this 3-year development of their. So yeah, so screenplay is an independently developed collectible card game with like really big like dreams that wants to become a competitive game. What is sad about it is I don't think they did the right amount of work to get there. I'll show you guys my stuff later. But yeah, so just we'll just talk about how it plays and kind of the backdrop. I guess I should also give credentials since I want the devs to like check this out. I play a lot of card games. I play ranked in like Hearthstone. I'm a platinum player. I've reached diamond in Magic. I've reached masters and Runeterra. Like I used to make money writing card guides for games. I have reached infinite rank and Marvel Snap. Like these are the types of games that I love. Like I'm really in tune with this scene and these types of games. So this is something that I was generally interested in because I kept seeing it pop up. I kept seeing it be like, oh, could this game be the next big thing? Blah blah blah. So I always kind of kept it in the back of my mind. So when I got the press email, like, hey, do you want a review code for Screenplay, the new um, collectible card game from whatever? I was like, yeah, I'll play it, sure. And then when you play the game, you go through the tutorial. It introduces these mechanics that kind of trip over themselves. There's a lot of mechanics from other games in here that I feel like don't inherently work with their core mechanics. So the core mechanic in this is you have stars, basically like four heroes on your team that you have to play, and each hero has their own goal that associates with that. So once you complete that actor's goal, they get off your board, you put in a new one, and you keep going. So that's just kind of the thing they want you to do, like put a guy on the field, hit a guy five times, that guy hits his star limit or whatever, then he's gone, right? So that is the inherent kind of flip. But what's cool, I'll give them this. Their mana system is cool. I'll show you guys it over here. So their mana system is called frames. They have these frames up here at the top. You start out with 5 frames, you and your opponent. So what you do is you and your opponent play at the same time. So like I would play, this guy, and he would. So each play has like a frame cost up here. To attack cost 2, to dodge, which is another thing, cost 2, and then some of them have activated effects, right? So the way it works is like you pass priority back and forth. So like I have defense, they have the offense. So their play starts from the left and goes to the right. So their frames play from like here, and then we go to me, and then we go to them, then we go to me. So, but then if it was my turn, it would be me, them, me, them. So you kind of have to think, I'm on the aggressive side, I have to do this versus them, right? So that's cool. I think playing the game at the same time as your opponent and having this like a shared mana pool essentially is really neat. It's a really fun kind of back and forth. But the mechanics of the cards is where the issue kind of gets in the way, and also also just the way the game looks, I think, is pretty not good, and kind of the theme is also another thing. But you essentially have to sit here and play, go back and forth, like I hit, you hit, and then it's like back and forth, right? But once you hit a card, they go on cooldown. So you see that this alligator guy, he probably got hit, so he's on a cooldown for 2 turns. So he can't do anything. So then you have to be like, okay, I have to play more cards because this guy can't attack, but then you only have a reserved amount that you can use. So the games go very long. They're very slow because you have to manage this, right? Okay, this guy gets hit, I have to wait too. This guy gets hit, I have to wait. Oh, this guy died, I have to wait or put a guy out. So you have like you flood your board, and it's just kind of like a back and forth of who can finally achieve their character goals, right? So it's the mechanic of leveling up your guys to win is kind of secondary to fighting, right? Like, yeah, you can hit a guy and pause him from hitting your champ or from hitting a card, but really you're just kind of waiting on these timers essentially over and over again. So the back and forth is just it's not fun. It's not like a fun thing to go back and forth. And then they have this dodge mechanic, which I think is the smartest thing besides the frames in their game. You can like target your own character and that activates a dodge. So instead of them losing their turns for however long, they'll dodge the attack. But how do you can't read a player of who they're going to hit, right? So if you dodge your own dude that you think they're going to hit and they hit somebody else, you just kind of wasted that, right? So like that feels bad if you can't read that. And they have certain cards where it's like this card will hit the leftmost card on your board. So okay, so I can read that and I know what's going to happen. But then they have other things they could attack with too. So it's just like there's a lot of managing that you have to do on top of this core mechanic that it's just like a constant clash because the game is just so slow. And it's weird to me that that they didn't focus on the dodge mechanic and their frame mechanic and then add all these other things from other games, like, you know, champs from League. Like League has this thing, and then the Digimon card game has this as well, but in a different way. So it's like it's not really like the same thing, but they just take all these other things from other games, kind of mesh it together, and just doesn't really work. And it's a frustrating thing because I feel like in the testing phase they should have caught it. Like there should have been a moment where a person was like, "Hey, like this isn't fun." And like I don't feel like I'm missing anything either because I've tried to like play this game with other people and I can't find people to play with, right? Like that's just the other thing. Like there's like maybe 20 people who have ever played this game at once. There's like a Discord with people that play like 1 or 2 games a day. It's like I want to play this with like real people, but I can't. I have to play against bots, you know? So it's crazy because I feel like if a game was able to develop, the meta would change and there would be cards and things where people would figure out better ways to like manage a deck or manage a system. And it's just not there. And I think it's weird. So my biggest thing, I think, besides all of that is it's like it's an indie game, but it lacks that indie like edge, that indie like why is there a reason we couldn't get this funded by another company, right? Like it's probably because the idea is bad, but it's also probably because like there isn't anything there. Like, and I think it's sad that they had to lean into this kind of like pop culture idea for cards. It's like it feels like all the cards are like references to movies. So like Steven Spielberg or like the Terminator or whatever. Like they're just references. So it's like you're hit with these Reddit memes constantly. And then you're also like, oh yeah, that's Donald Trump on the other board. That's supposed to be funny, but it's not funny. It's like, okay, like yeah, there's a Trump card, which is like, oh, okay, like I get it, but it's just weird having to use pop culture and thinking this will get people to play the game. Like this is going to make people want to play our game because it's funny and it's crazy, but it's like it's not. It's like it's just a weird niche. Like this like weird Hollywood history thing is like not something most people are into.
Yeah,
And if they look at it and they're like, that looks cool, they're not the type of person that should be playing this type of game.
I always have a problem when it comes to like people doing like movie based something when they're just like they like movies, they don't understand movies.
Yeah.
Like there's a world of difference between like knowing what a movie is and just like I just really like movies. Like and like this has that like, oh, they just like movies. So let's just make reference.
Is the Penguin doing a Michael Jackson thing? Is this doing music videos too?
Yeah. It's like every pop culture thing ever. It's like you're scrolling Reddit. That's what it is. It's like you're scrolling the AI forums on Reddit because almost all the cards are AI art. By the way,
I was gonna ask.
Yeah. Okay.
The devs have said they're placeholder, but I don't think they're ever going to get to where they can
change them
real. So it's like, okay, you use AI art. Okay. So it's like there's that, and it's like, oh yeah, Penguin doing Michael Jackson pose. Like that's not. How is that funny? It's not funny. It's like it's just like.
Okay. How does that play into what that card does? Does it?
Right. I mean, there's one that's like a rapper themed shark named named after Jay-Z, maybe. I don't know. But there's this mechanic called performing where you can spotlight a character, and if they have a performance on their card, they can do something else. Like one of them's like perform once and you'll increase the attack of another card. Like, so if you perform enough, your Jay-Z shark will start rapping and start saying like shark themed quips and rap them. It's like, okay, cool. And then like the trump card is like, I think this is the best card game of all time. Like doing a Trump impression is like, okay. Like it doesn't have an identity, which I think is a huge issue. But yeah, that is kind of where like my game critique ends. And then now like my kind of marketing producer game dev brain comes in, where I come at it from this angle, where I look at like, okay, I go on YouTube, I look up screenplay CCG, and it's like, okay, I sorted by most views. The most views they had on a trailer 10 months ago was 48,000 views. So that tells me not enough marketing, not enough outreach. You're doing something wrong, right? I go and look at Regis Kilbin, this guy who made, a video about it. I played a crazy unique new card game. And then I'm like, okay, did he ever play it again? I go and look, he played it once, It's like, okay, so something is happening here. If I was on the dev team, I'd be scrambling. I'd be like, this isn't working. Like, what are we doing wrong? But at this point, it's too late to turn around. You're 5 months out from launching, right? So I'm like, okay, let's look at Reddit. Let's see what Reddit is saying. And then I go to the Reddit. They got 35 members. The only guy posting in there is a dev. So I'm like, okay, so they should have known something was off a couple years ago, maybe. Interesting. And then I go into Google mode. I'm like, okay, let's Google Reddit screenplay CCG, and I played a crazy unique new card game. This is that YouTube video that got linking here, and this is the devs talking about it. For 3 years, we've been creating a digital card game, blah blah blah. So there should have been a point at year 2 where they're like, okay, we need to scramble and think about something else. Because there's just no traction on any of these. So I'm like, okay, how did they get this far? Like, what are they doing? And then I think I had a PR release. How did they afford a PR team to like reach out? So I'm like, there's no marketing. There's nothing besides a PR thing. So I'm like, okay, there's something weird happening here. I don't get it. And I go on the Discord, and I'm like, how's the player base of the game looking? And then a community like mod. He's not a community manager. They don't have one, by the way, or a marketing guy. I checked their team. They don't have the marketing guy. They say small but dedicated. If you want to ensure you get a game, just post and find players. So you can't use the game to find a game. You have to go in this Discord And so,
Good.
Wow.
yeah, then I go, awesome. And then I go in here.
He said facetiously.
Mhm. And then it's like two people playing back and forth. And this is like two hours in this fine players chat right here. I'm like, like they had to, like there has to have been a moment where the team was like, this, we need to like rethink this.
Our food
right?
section on SideQuesting has more posts within a 2-hour.
Yeah. And then I go over here and I'll look again in queue if anyone wants a game. Thanks for the best out of 3. Gotta go now. GG.
Do they have any Discord unique specific emojis at least?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, let me check the day after, right? And then it's like, oh, it's the same guy playing with the same guy. And then someone posts in queue. And then they have 104 people in their Discord. So it's like it's
all people that were on the press blast.
Or just people who have found the game whenever it was in testing or something. But it's like, if the game was in testing and it was at this amount, I would understand that, right? This makes sense. But if the game's out and you have this in your Discord and you have this to actually have to find a game, there is a step you missed from not marketing the game, from not finding that niche audience and just marketing to them. And it's just, it's sad, and it's also like you kind of made your bed and laid in it too. And yeah, so if the devs watch this, I want you to succeed, and I think the best way for you to do that is by removing all these other weird mechanics, focus on the dodge mechanic, make the game more aggro, and focus around that kind of counterplay back and forth. I think that would work. But that would require you to go back to the drawing board. But we have seen games bounce back from really horrible launches and all these things. Like, so it's a possible thing to do. I don't think expanding more and trying to find other archetypes, other gameplay modes is the smart way to do it. I think focusing on your unique mechanic of dodging and leveling up your stars and just kind of focusing on a more aggressive gameplay would probably help you in the long run. And then you can add more stall and control type decks, which is now is kind of what the game is. But yeah, that's all I got for that one. Wow. It's a very interesting couple weeks I've had with this game, trying to actually enjoy it, and I just can't.